Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about one of the most important topic in lean manufacturing. That one is gap analysis. And what is gap? And which type of gap in the lean manufacturing? So today video we are going to discuss about that topic. So let's start about that topic. Gap analysis. What is gap analysis? Gap is a systematic method used to compare the current situation of a person, organization, process, product, or project with a desired or expected situation. In simple word, gap analysis tells us where we are now, where you want to be, and what is the missing between the two. The difference between the two state and the desired state is called the gap. The difference between the current state and the desired state is the gap. In simple formula, gap equal to desired state minus current state. So, for example, suppose a company currently produces 800 products per day, but the target is 1000 products per day. Therefore, gap equal to 1000 minus 800 equal to 200 per day. The company has a production gap 200 products per day. 200 products per day. The gap analysis gap analysis then asks, what does the gap exist? What does this gap exist? What is the preventing us for reaching the target? What is the preventing us for reaching the target? What resources are missing? What skills are missing? What process needs improvement? What action should be taken to close the gap? Simple meaning of gap analysis. Imagine that you want to travel from city A to city B. That you imagine that you want to travel from city A to city B. You are currently at city A, current state. Your destination city B, desired state. The distance between city A and B represent the gap. The rich city, the rich city B, you need to determine what road should you take, how much time it will take, what resource do you need, what obstacles are present, what action must you take. This is similar to gap analysis. Current state and desired state. The middle section is gap. Where you are, what is missing, and where you want to be. So why gap is important? Why gap is important? Gap analysis helps peoples and organization understand the difference between actual performance and expected performance. So it can help answer questions such as what you are doing now, what should you be doing, what is the difference, why does the difference exist, what resources are required, what action should we take, how can you measure improvement. Without gap analysis, an organization may know that is a problem, but may not clearly understand what needs to change. So, basic four components of the gap analysis. A gap analysis normally has four important components. Basic four components of the gap analysis. First one is current state. The describe where are you now, current state. Describes where you now, desired state. This describes where you want to be, gap. The describe the difference between the current and desired state. Action. Then then third one gap. Then fourth one is the action plan. This describes what must be done to close the gap. What must be done to close the gap. The completely process can therefore is remembered as current state, identify gap, find regions, create action plan, desired state. That is the simple thing. So simple example of gap analysis. Simple example of gap analysis. Suppose a student wants to improve examination performance. Current state, the student currently scored 55 marks out of 100. Desired state, the students want 80 marks out of 100. The gap 80 minus 55, 25 marks. Therefore, the student has 25 mark performance gap. But in simple knowing the gap is not enough. The student must ask why there is a 25 mark gap. Possible reason insufficient study time, poor understanding of concept, lack of revision, poor time management during examination, not practicing previous question, difficult with particular subject. Action plan. The student could study for 2 additional hours each day, revise lesson every week, practice previous examination paper, ask teachers about difficult topic, take practice tasks, improve time management, and desired result. The student gradually improve from 85 to 65, 65 to 75, 70 to 72 to 80, and the gap becomes smaller until the target is reached. Then gap analysis process step by step. So gap analysis process step by step. I will explain that. Then you can clearly understand about that what is gap and where position is the gap. So step one, define the objective. First, clearly identify what you want to achieve. So first of all, you can clearly understand. First of all, you clearly identify what you want to achieve. For example, increase customer satisfaction. For example, increase customer satisfaction from 70 to 80, 70 to 90%. That is better than saying improve customer satisfaction. The target should ideally be specific and measurable. Then second one is step two. Identify the current state. Find out what is happening right now. Find out what is happening right now. For example, current state customer satisfaction 70%. You can collect this information through survey, reports, interview, observation, performance record, financial data, quality record, customer feedback. Then step 3. Define the desired state. Determine where you want to be. Determine where you want to be. For example, desired customer satisfaction. So, for example, desired customer satisfaction 90%. The desired state may come from company objectives, customer expectation, industry standard, management target, legal requirement, competitor performance, strategic plan. Then step 4. Identify the gap. Compare the current state with the desired state. For example, current state 70%, desired state 90%. Gap will be 90 minus 70. So gap will be 20 percentage per point. Therefore, the organization need to improve customer satisfaction by 20% point. So step 5. Find the region. Find the region for the gap. Find the region for the gap. Now ask, why does the gap exist? Possible reason: slow customer service, poor product quality, employee lack training, long waiting times, poor communication, technical problems. This type is extremely important because the purpose of the gap analysis is not merely to identify a difference, but to understand what is causing it. Step 6. Develop an action plan. Develop an action plan. After identifying the causes, determine what needed to be done. After identifying the causes, determine what needs to be done. Example: gap, persuasion, action. Customer satisfaction is 70%. Instead of customer satisfaction is 70%. instead of 90%. Facilities in slow service, improve service processes, customer waiting too long, staff shortages, adjusting staff, employee make mistakes, lack of training, conduct training, complaints are not resolved quickly, poor complaint, poor complaint process, create a standard complaint procedure. Then implementing the action. The organization now puts the plant improvement into practices. For example, train employee, improve the customer service process, increase staffing during the busy periods, introduce a complaint management system. Step 8. So measure the results. Measure the results. After implementing the changes, measure performance again. Suppose customer satisfaction improves 70% to 78 percentage, 78% to 85 percentage, 85% to 91%. The organization successfully closed the original gap. The gap analysis example: business sales. Imagine that a company wants to increase annual sales. Current annual sales 50 lakhs. Desired state target annual sales 80 lakhs. Gaps 80 lakhs to 50 lakhs, 30 lakhs gap. The company has a sales gap 30 lakhs. Now management investigate the reason. Possible causes limited marketing, high product prices, poor customer service, small sales team, weak online presence, limited product range, strong competition. Action plan. The company could improve digital marketing, train sales employee, improve customer service, introduce new product, explain it to new market, improve the website, offer suitable promotion. Results after implementing the action: current sales 50 lakhs, target sales 80 lakhs. The gap gradually becomes smaller. Then gap analysis example, another is employee skills. So one more example, employee skills. Gap analysis is commonly used to identify skill gaps. Suppose a company needs employee who can use advanced data analysis software. Required skill level, the organization required advanced level. Current employee skill level, the employee currently has basic level. Therefore, required skill, advanced, gap, basic, current skill. And why does the gap exist? Why does the gap exist? The employee may have never received training, have limited practice experience, use older software, lack access to learning resources. Action plan. The company can provide action plan. The company can provide training, assign practical projects, provide access to learning materials, arrange monitoring, conduct skill assessment. After training, basic to intermediate to advanced, the skill gap is reduced or closed. Then one more topic, gap analysis, manufacturing. One more topic, analysis in example manufacturing. Suppose a factory has a production target. Suppose a factory has a production target. Current production target 800 units per day. So required production 1000 units per day. Gap 200 units per day. Now the organization investigate why it is producing only 800 units or 800 reasons: people lack of training, staff shortages, poor productivity, machine breakdown, slow machine, required maintenance, method, insufficient production process, unnecessary steps, poor scheduling, material, raw material shortages, poor quality material, late supplier delivery, measurement, poor production monitoring, incorrect production data, environment, poor workplace layout, high temperature, unsafe or uncomfortable condition. An action plan. The factory could improve machine maintenance, train employee, reduce unnecessary process step, improve production scheduling, improve supplier management, monitor production performance. The target the target then becomes 800 units per day to 900 units per day. Then after the 950 units per day. Then after that 1000 units per day. The production gap is gradually closed. And one more topic is like that example in the gap analysis. Suppose a college wants student to achieve better examination results. Better examination result. Current state average student score 60%. Desired state college target 80%. The gap 20% point. The college investigate the region. Possible gaps. Knowing knowledge gap. Student do not understand some important concept. Skill gap. Student lack problem solving skill. Resource gap. Student do not have enough learning materials. Teaching gap. Some topics are not explained sufficiently. Technology gap. Students may have limited access to digital learning resources. Action plan. The college can conduct additional classes, provide study materials, introduce practice examination, provide tutoring, use inactive teaching method, provide online learning resources. Then one more topic explain that customer services, gap analysis, customer service. So average customer waiting time. So average customer waiting time 20 minutes. Desired state company target 5 minutes. So gap 20 minus 5 15 minutes. There is a 15 minutes waiting time for the gap. Possible reason 2 PO employee, slow computer system, poor workflow, long approval process, poor queue management, employee lack training. So action plan the company could add employee during peak hour, improve the computer system, simplifying approval procedure, introduce online services, improve queue management. Results 20 minutes to 15 minutes, 15 minutes to 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 5 minutes. The gap is gradually closed. Then another topic types of gap analysis. In the gap analysis, there are different types are there. So types of gap analysis. So, gap analysis can be used in many different areas. So first one is performance gap analysis. So this compares actual performance with the expected performance. First one is performance gap analysis. The compare actual performance with the expected performance. Example: expected production 1000 units, actual production 800 units. The performance gap is 200 units. So skill gap analysis. So the compare employee skill gap analysis. The compare employee current skills with the skills required for their jobs. Example: required advanced computer skill, current basic computer skill. Gap: advanced skills are missing. Solution: training and practice. And knowledge gap analysis. This identify missing knowledge. Example: a students need to understand 5 chapters but understand only 3. This missing two chapter represent a knowledge gap. Then process gap analysis. This compare the existing process with the desired or ideal process. Example: current process, customer order, manual entry, manager approval, processing, delivery, desired delivery. Then this is the current process. Again, customer order, manual entry, manager approval, processing, delivery. Then desired process, customer order, automatic entry, automatic approval, processing, delivery. The gap may involve unnecessary manual gap steps. Then technology gap analysis. This identifies technology gap analysis. This identifies difference between current technology and required technology. Example: current old computer system, design modern integrated system. Technology gap: existing system does not provide the required feature. Possible solution: upgrade or replace the system. Then compliance gap analysis. This compares compliance gap analysis. This compares current practices with required rules, standard policy, or regulations. For example, required standard 100%, 100%. Then gap 80%. Current compliance. This organization must identify what requirements are not currently being met and take corrective action. The strategy gap analysis. The strategy gap analysis. The compares the organization current position with its long-term strategy goals. Example, current market share 10%, strategic target 20%. The organization has a 10 percentage point market share gap. Management then determines how to close it through new products, new marketing, better customer service, partnership, competitive pricing. Then gap analysis plus SWOT analysis. Gap analysis versus SWOT analysis. These two tools are related but different. These two tools are related but different. Gap analysis will focus on where are you now versus where you want to do, where you want to be. That is the gap analysis. But SWOT analysis, what is SWOT? And focus on strength, weakness, opportunity, traits. Example, a company wants to increase sales. SWOT analysis might identify strength, strong brand, weakness, limited online presence, opportunity, growing online market, threat, strong competitors. Then gap analysis might identify current online sales 10 lakhs, target online sales 30 lakhs, the gap 20 lakhs. Therefore, SWOT helps understand the strategic situation, while gap analysis helps identify the difference between the current and desired state. Then gap analysis versus fishbone diagram. Since you asked about fishbone diagram, previously it is useful to understand the difference. So fishbone diagram and gap analysis. Find the possible causes of problem. Fishbone find the possible causes of problem. So gap and find the difference between current or desired state. Focus on the causes. Focus on the gap. So often using the root cause of analysis, often used for planning improvement. Uses category and branches. Uses current state, desired state, gap, and action. Answer why it is happening. Answer what is the missing and what to must to change. They can also be used together. They can also be used together. For example, they can also use together. For example, gap analysis. Production target 1000 units. Actual to production 800 units. Gap 200 units. Then use a fishbone diagram to investigate why the production only 800 units. Possible causes, machine problems, employee training, material shortages, poor method, measurement problems, environmental conditions. So the gap analysis identify the gap and the fishbone diagram can help investigate the cause behind the gap. In gap analysis example, using both tools. In gap analysis example, using both tools. Imagine a company has a product defect rate of 8%. The company wants a defect rate of only 2%. Gap analysis current defect rate 8%. Desired defect rate 2%. Gap 8 minus 2 6%. The company know there is a quality gap. The company know there is a quality gap. Now it asks why is the defect rate 8%? A fishbone diagram can be used to investigate possible causes, poor employee training, machine calibration problems, poor raw materials, incorrect procedures, measurement error, environment condition. After investigation, the company discovered that the major causes are poor machine calibration, inconsistent raw material. The company takes corrective action. After improvement, 8% to 6%, 6% to 4%, 4% to 2%, the quality gap is closed. How to create a gap analysis table. So you can how to create universal a gap analysis table. A simple gap analysis can be represented in a table: area, current state, desired state, gap action, production 800, then desired current state 800, desired state 1000, gap 200, improve production process. Customer satisfaction 70%, 90%, 20% gap, improve service. Employee skill basic, advanced skill gap training. Delivery time 5 days, then disaster 2 days, then gap 3 days, improve logistics. Defect rate 8%, disaster state 2%, gap 6%, improve quality control. This format makes the gap analysis very easy to understand. Why cause a gap? Why causes a gap? A gap can occur for many reasons. People related reason. A gap. Why? Why the gap is coming? Why the gap is coming? So a gap can occur so many reasons. People related reasons. Lack of skill, lack of knowledge, lack of training, poor communication, insufficient staffing. Process related reason. Inefficient, so the inefficient procedure, unnecessary steps, poor planning, lack of standardization. Technology-related reason: old technology, system limitation, lack of automation, technical problems. Source-related reasons: insufficient money, lack of equipment, lack of materials, lack of staff. Management-related reasons: poor planning, weak leadership, unclear objective, poor decision making. External reasons: competition, market changes, economic conditions, customer expectations, supplier problems. Then the benefits of the gap analysis: clearly identify the problems. It shows the exactly where the performance is in below expectation, helps set priority. Organization can identify which gap are most important, support decision making. Manager can make decision based on the actual difference, improve resource allocation. Resources can be directed towards area with significant gap, helps create action plan. It converts a problem into specific improvement activity, measure progress. Organization can compare performance over time, support continuous improvement. Repeated gap analysis can help organization continuously improve, identify skill and knowledge needs. It can show where the employee requires training, improve strategic planning. It helps organization understand what needs to change to achieve long-term objectives. Limitation of the gap analysis. Gap analysis is useful, but it also some limitation. It depends on accurate data. If the current state information is wrong, the actual may be misleading. The desired state must be realistic. So an unrealistic target can create an artificial or difficult to close gap. It does not always identify root cause. Gap analysis identifies the difference, but additional tools may be need to understand why the gap exists. It can oversimplify complex problems. Some organizational problems involve many interconnected factors. Close a gap may require significant resources, training, technology, equipment, process changes may require time and money. So, an important question to ask during gap analysis. When performing gap analysis, ask these questions about the current state. Where are you now? What is your current performance? What resource do you currently have? What skill do you currently possess? And what problems currently exist? After about the desired state, where do you want to be? What performance level is expected? What standard must be met? What skill or resource is required? About the gap, what is missing? How large is the gap? Why does the gap exist? Which gap are most important? About action plan, what must be changed? What should be responsible? What resources required? How long will take? How will success be measured? A practical gap analysis example. Imagine a small company. Imagine a small company wants to improve its delivery performance. Step 1, current state, average delivery time 7 days. Step 2, desired state, the target delivery time is 3 days. Step 3, identify the gap, 7 days to 3 days, 4 days. The company has a 4 days delivery gap. Step 4, investigate the region. The company discovers orders are manually entered, and the warehouse processing takes 2 days. Packaging is not prepared in advance. Delivery routes are insufficient. Some supplier deliver materials late. So develop solution. The company decided to automate order entry, improve warehouse scheduling, prepare common packaging material in advance, optimize delivery routes, improve supplier coordination. The major results after improvement 7 days to 6 days to 60 to 5 days, 5 days to 4 days, and after that the company reaches its target. And gap analysis simple diagram from the entire concept. The entire concept can be remembered through the diagram. Gap analysis, current state, where you are now, identify gap, what is the missing or different, then analyze the region, why is there a gap, action plan, what should we do, implementation, then after that measurement, desired state, where do you want to be? The real life example. The real life example. Suppose you want to become a better at English. Current state, your current English level intermediate. Desired state, your target is advanced. Gap advanced minus advanced. Gap is your target is advanced. Gap advanced. Intermediate advanced minus intermediate. So English skill gap. What does the gap exist? What does the gap exist? Limited vocabulary, grammar mistakes, not enough speaking practice, limited reading, lack of confidence. Action move, learn 10 new words every day, read English articles, practice speaking, watch educational video, write regularly, review grammar. Results. So results intermediate to upper intermediate, then after that advanced. The gap analysis helps you understand what you need to improve instead of simplifying saying, I want to improve my English. So key terms you should remember. So term and meaning. Current state, where are you now? Desired state, where you want to be. Gap, difference between current and desired state. Gap analysis, process of identifying and analyzing the difference, root cause, underlying reason for a problem, action plan, step required to close the gap, target, specific result you want to achieve, performance, actual level of achievement, improvement, change made to reduce the gap, and advantages and disadvantages. Easy to understand, require accurate data, identify area for improvement, and may oversimplify complex situation. Support planning, target may be unrealistic, helps to prioritize, not always, and root causes. Suppose it is a support decision making, close gap may require resources, process. Difference between current state, gap, and desired state. Difference between current state, gap, or desired state. This is one of the most important concepts. Suppose current sales 40 lakhs, target 60 lakhs, then current state 40 lakhs, then gap is 20 lakhs, desired state 60 lakhs, therefore current state sale 40 lakhs, desired state 60 lakhs, gap 20 lakhs. The organization needs to determine what action can you close the 20 lakhs gap, then complete the gap analysis cycle. A professional gap analysis can be viewed as a continuous cycle. Set objective, measure current state, set objective, measure current state, define desired state, identify gap, analyze cause, create action plan, implement plan, and measure results. Has gap been closed or yes or no? Then no means again go to back. Then implement plan. Then you suppose yes, maintain performance. Then this show the gap analysis is not one-time activity. It can part of continuous improvement process. So how to write in the gap analysis for the exam. So you can read about that topic, then you can clearly understand why the gap analysis is more important. So in the final definition, so that is your final. So gap analysis is easy. So gap analysis is problem solving and planning technique that compares where you are now and where you want to be. Identify the difference between them. So determines why the difference exists and develop action to close the gap. In online current state, gap, regions, action plan, desired state. Example that is the example in the gap analysis. So this is my part 2 video. So part 1 video I will explain that all in the topic gap analysis. So this one you can just like you read about desired and current state. So already I am explained that just you can read it. What is gap, current, and what is the gap analysis. So this you can understand. So in gap analysis, there are different types of tools you can use it. Slot analysis, fishbone diagram, bottleneck analysis, SPC analysis. So gap analysis first on the NKGAP 27S framework. So that one also most important thing. And I think that one is new one, but you can understand in the little bit about that NK 7S tool. Then is the Nettler Testman confidence model. That one is also new done. Then one you read about that again. That is the gap organization information. So another is the data collected using the following iteration. Another is the typical steps to conducting gap analysis. And you would ask the question how the gap is coming, so you can read about that situation. Then you identify the desired outcome that you need to be achieved. Then identify also gap between the flow state and the yeah, and this is the gap analysis. And one is the example you can perform the problems, current situation, desired outcome, and the gap. This is the one more example. Current state, the problems, current situation, desired outcome, the gap. And this is the one more example. This is the current state, desired outcome, the gap. And this one is the one more example. This is the problems, current situation, desired outcome, the gap. And that is the gap analysis. I think you understand about that gap analysis. Where is the gap? How to mitigate that problem? So if you think this video is helpful for you, so please like, share and subscribe to this channel. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much.